Retirement. You hear so much about retirement. What are you going to do for retirement? Well, there was a time that people didn't retire, they died. And they died at 62, they died at 63, they died at 58. You look at Franklin Roosevelt, you know, he looked like the Ancient of Days, and I think he was only about 62 or something when he died. Lyndon Johnson was quite young when he died. And so when they set up Social Security, hardly anybody got to 65. So right now, but thanks to the advances in medicine and nutrition and other things, people are living a lot longer. And that is a good thing, but it can be a bad thing. So when it comes to growing old in America, there is good news and there is bad news. Workers are living longer, but unfortunately, they're not saving enough for that so-called golden age retirement. And that could mean very unpleasant consequences, as Charlene Israel reports in this excellent story about what is going to happen to many of you.
Al Dumar started making ice cream cones at his family-owned restaurant back in 1946. At 91, his love for the job keeps him going.
A lot of people just like me, too, the old-timers that just keep on working anyhow. When they pass retirement age, they just keep on.
Son Thad Dumar runs the eatery today. He credits his dad for teaching him to work hard and not depend on the government.
My dad was born in 1922, before Social Security started. He told me that he is the once and future America, because he said, when I was a kid, people worked until they died. And he said, based on the way things are going, you younger folks are going to be working until you die as well, or until very, very near the end.
Unlike Big Al, more and more workers will stay on the job and put off retirement due to bad financial planning and not enough savings.
Absolutely. You see people working longer.
When it comes to retirement, most Americans work until around age 65, some even longer. But when it comes to saving for retirement, most workers come up short.
I don't think I'll ever retire, but I think it's a question of money. I don't, Social Security benefits are unreliable. So we're going to have to stay really healthy and really active.
According to research, more than half of American households risk not having saved enough to maintain their standard of living in retirement.
I haven't saved enough for retirement. I think I'm going to work as long as I can.
He's among the 28% of Americans who have no confidence they will have enough money to retire comfortably. Jack Vanderhei says that's the worst confidence level in the study's history.
We find that about 44% of the households will run short of money in retirement. And it's even worse if you look at the low-income quartile. In that case, it's over 60% will run short of money sometime in retirement.
Vanderhei says many expect to live off Social Security benefits and depend on Medicare to cover doctor's bills. However, Social Security is on track to run out by 2033.
Within 2 decades, we're looking at a situation where the trust fund itself is likely to be depleted. That doesn't mean, as some people unfortunately think, that means no Social Security benefits, but it does mean that there will be only enough money available to pay about 72 to 75% of what was promised.
When the Social Security Trust Fund was introduced in the 1930s, life expectancy didn't even reach the retirement age of 65. Life expectancy in 1930 added up to only 58 years for men and 62 for women. That formula became quickly outdated, and over the next 60 years, the number of seniors exploded. In the 30s, only 6.7 million Americans lived to be 65 or older. By the year 2000, that number grew to almost 35 million. Currently, 58 million Americans receive Social Security benefits, and the government's not prepared to cover the country's growing cost of retirement. So people like Tamara Rowe are preparing.
Maxing out my retirement accounts, the thrift savings plan. I also have a Roth IRA.
Rose started putting away for her golden years while in her 20s.
I started at 25. I guess because I've always hung around people who were older than I, and so back when I was 25, if you read the business section of the newspaper, you would hear people weren't saved enough for retirement. Then I hear now it's worse.
Worse, but not too late, says Vanderhyde.
It's a crisis that could be solved if people would realize their future plight today and start doing something about it.
For the Dumars, that something has always been clear.
Ultimately, maybe we're heading back to the point where we have to trust ourselves and rely on ourselves as opposed to someone else coming in to save us. And a lot of people are really, I think, counting too much on the government to save the day. You know, the government is very short-term oriented, and all the politicians are just concerned about the next election. They're not concerned about how things are going to be for our kids or our grandchildren or for the future of the country.
Charlene Israel, CBN News.